Hi everyone, welcome back. Happy Monday to you all. Last day of September. So we're getting into October as of tomorrow, but Bitcoin price as of today, because it switched over. Bitcoin didn't do too well today. It was down. We saw that last night when we were doing the live stream as well. So I believe that's going to be the case going forward as well. Miners were down also today. We can't expect that. Bitcoin is going to be down. Miners are going to be down as well. We do have an update from Cleanspark on Hurricane Helene. They provided what they were operating at and what they are operating at now, and where they will be probably by the end of the week as well. So we got some good news there as well. They increased their hash rate quite a bit, so that's kind of actually good. And that's all we really have happening right now. That's really all. So we'll get into all that. We'll get into your guys' Q&A side of things here, and we'll call it a day. It should be a pretty easy one. Tomorrow is going to be more busy. We're going to have the updates from the miners. I'm expecting Bitfarms to provide their numbers as well, and then we're going to also have possibly couple other companies, but Bitfarms is usually like the number one that provides the numbers for us. But as always, you guys know the drill here. Not financial advice for entertainment only. Please do your own research, and full disclosure down below. Hit the like button, subscribe if you enjoy this type of content, and let's take a look at what's going on here with Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners here really quick, and then we'll get into everything else. So Bitcoin was down today quite a bit. It did go below our support line here. It was down 3.5%. It was down almost $2,300 on the day. But it went below our support line at 63,700. It's below it now a little bit. Went up a little bit and came back down. We'll see where it goes. Right, with it being low, being below the support line, we may go down. Possibility of us going down to like the next support line, which is at 61,000. So we'll have to just wait and see how this plays out. The good sign is the RSI on the 1 day is nicely at 54 right now. Last time we were back here on this one, this was back on September 17th. Price at that point was only at, what was the price at? 60,000. So roughly a 3,000 difference on it. So that's a good sign here. Even if we come down here, RSI will fall even more, which then gives us possibility of going up even higher at that point as well. Okay. As far as the miners are concerned, miners for the most part did like a 2 or 3x worse than Bitcoin did here today. ANY was down 8.8, Argo was down 10, BitDigital was down 3.5, BitDeer was down 7.25, Bitfarms was down 6.25 roughly, Cypher was down 5 and 5.8, Cleanspark was down 7.8, CORZ was down 2.4. So CORZ actually did better than Bitcoin did. Digihost was down 10%, DMG was down 4.75 roughly, Hive was down 6.5, Hive was down 6.2, IREN was down 4.6, Mara was down 6.1, Mawson was down 11.4, and Riot was down 5.3, Stronghold down 3.6, Wolf down 5.2. So we kind of expected that. We talked about it last night. If Bitcoin's going to be going down, the miners were going to be going down as well. And it's nothing really new here that we wouldn't expect to happen. But I think this is a good, healthy pullback. If you look at the chart here, we have had a nice rally going up ever since. This was back on actually September 7th. So basically a week out after September happened, and we've been going up here. We had a little pullback here. We've been going up, and a little pullback here as well, I think is healthy for the overall market in Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners as in general. Okay, if we look at where we ended the month here on September for the month, if we look at this chart over here, we'll get to Cleanspark here in a little bit. But we ended up being up 7.35% on the month here in September, which is pretty close to where we were back in 2016, where we were at only 6.04%. So it's pretty close, right? 2015, we were up 2.35. 2023, we were up 3.91. So we were a little higher than those two prior months where we were in the green, which then leads me to believe that maybe if this plays out the same way, we might be a little bit higher than the percentages here. But October in last year was up 14.7%. November was up only 5.4, which was pretty low considering where things have been in the past for November on it. And then December was up 30%, pretty high here, right? Pretty nice number here on that one. If those play out the same way, we're looking at Bitcoin ending at the year around 98,000. If you just add these months or these numbers in to where we ended at 63,000 roughly, whatever it was, for the end of September, add 14%, 5%, and 30%, we're looking at around 98%. We could go up higher than that. But we'll see, right? I'm thinking maybe we'll be a little bit above 100,000 as well. But time will only tell on that one. But the next 3 months are definitely going to be much better for us going forward. And I'm definitely looking forward to it. I hope you guys are as well. All right, so that's it for that. Let's take a look at Cleanspark here. There's been quite a bit of talk about Cleanspark and their operations because of the storm, the Hurricane Helene, that went through Florida, Georgia, up into a little bit of, where else did it go? Up into Tennessee a little bit, I think, as well. But by that time, it was like just a regular storm. But here's what we have from them. If you guys haven't seen this already, they went on to say, basically all the right things. They said how important it is that people were safe, people, did all the right things. But over here is where we get to the nit and gritty of it all. And here's the quote. So, most importantly, all of our team members are safe, which is great. Additionally, our geographically diverse portfolio of sites allowed us to maintain approximately 10.5 exahash at our sites in Northwest Georgia, Mississippi, and Tennessee throughout the storm. So that was good. They were down approximately 12 exahash because of it. To ensure health and safety and to avoid any undue pressure on the electrical grid, we shut down 365 megawatts of our southeast Georgia sites down as the hurricane began impacting the region. So kind of like a preemptive shutdown on this, which I think was great of them to do at that point, because you're going to have power lines down, you have outages of power, everything else like that. So this probably made sense to do it. Going down here, since then we have been in regular communications with the local utilities to safely bring up the sites in a manner that ensured the local community was supported throughout the process. Within 24 hours, we were able to bring hash rate back to over 17.5 exahash. We have now brought approximately 200 megawatts back online and expect to bring the remaining 165 megawatts online in the coming weeks after the utilities and communities around us receive power. The majority of the 165 megawatts remaining offline is projected to be restored to communities no later than October 4th, so basically by the end of the week. Our teams are prepared to promptly restore normal operations as soon as power becomes available. All right, so that's good news there as well. So they're going to be down a little bit here. We have also thoroughly evaluated all of our sites and are pleased to report that we have experienced no material damage to any site infrastructure. That's good. We are not aware of any material losses related to our mining servers, and will continue this evaluation as we energize the remaining sites. So that's also good. Our hash rate is currently at approximately 22 exahash. That's kind of where they were at the beginning of the month as well. When our sites are fully re-energized, we expect to reach standard operations at approximately 28 exahash. So they've actually grown about 6 exahash here in this year, in this month of September. So I expect them to be, they're probably going to be down a little bit. We'll see what the report comes out either tomorrow or on Tuesday for them as far as what their operational update is for September. But they are at 28 exahash operational here if they get everything plugged back in the next couple of days here after the storm went through. So if we look at Cleanspark here, I have them at 22.6 exahash. They're currently operating at 22 exahash. They're back to pretty much normal where they started the month out. And it looks like installed about 5.4 exahash roughly of additional hash rate here this month, which is fantastic. So continuation on the growth side of things, that's good. And we'll see what the numbers come in once we actually get how much the Bitcoin they mine. We are going to be down a little bit probably from where they probably should be because of the couple of days of the impact of Hurricane Helene at that point. So I don't think it's all that bad. I think it's actually pretty good. It would have been worrisome if they had issues with the infrastructure or not the infrastructure. Well, maybe a little bit of the infrastructure, but also if they had an impact on the substations, what else is the other one? Gosh, I'm drawing a blank right now. We're talking about the substation, and then I'm drawing a blank. The big green things that transformers. There we go. I was drawing a blank on it. If you have those damaged or something like that, but it doesn't look like anything like that was damaged. So that is good sign there as well. So overall, pretty good news considering all that has happened. We had a lot of people pass away, die because of the hurricane. So my thoughts and prayers are with everybody that was affected by it. Obviously, it was a pretty wild storm there. Okay. Also, I did not get a chance to listen to it. I just found out recently about the last hour or so that Gary Cardone had Zach Bradford from Cleanspark, the CEO, on his space today at 5 p.m. Eastern time, 4 p.m. Central time. I was not aware of that. I don't know how I missed that. I would have loved to have listened in onto that. If you guys listened into that, there is no recording of it, unfortunately. If you guys could provide me with the highlights of it, I'd appreciate it. If you guys listened to it, obviously. If you didn't, that's okay. But yeah, this is pretty much it. So end of September. We're done with September. We're going into October, which is going to be October, then November as well, and December. So the next 3 months will be definitely more interesting going forward. And I think the next 3 months will also be a little bit more telling going forward, because that will kind of tell us as far as, is the cycle the same that we've seen before, or is this a different cycle completely that we haven't seen before? It's already been a different cycle like we've talked about before. We've had a new all-time high in Bitcoin before the halving event. That has never happened. So the next 3 months might be a tell sign if it's going to be a longer extended cycle, or if it's going to be a similar cycle that we've seen in the past where Bitcoin goes up in the next 3 months. We might have a little pullback after the first of the year for a couple of months, and then we'll go back up through the rest of the year here to possibly get a new all-time high in probably September, October of next year, maybe. But if you look at like the power law and where that's pointing at, it's saying that we might hit a new all-time high at the end of March timeframe, somewhere around there, around 150,000, 180,000, something like that. So we got a lot going for us here. So we'll see what happens in the next couple of months. It's going to be definitely interesting. So stay tuned for that. We'll keep you guys posted on it. Okay. But so let's get into the Q&A side of things here. So what you guys have to say on any of these things, and if you have any questions as well, and we'll get through all this stuff here. All right, I'm going to try and catch up with some of the questions here, comments a little bit. You guys have been pretty active here. All right, what do we got here? We got Mark and Hank and HD Tech commenting. Let's see. What else we had? Just looking for a question. Bear with me for a second. Let me see here. Space Credit says Sebastian already owned IREN, Bitfarms, Riot, Wolf, Mara. What smaller miner would have the upside? Got two, and then you think would do super well this cycle. Okay, so you got IREN, Bitfarms, Riot, Wolf, Mara. What smaller miner? Oh gosh, I mean smaller miners. Then you're looking at like Digihost, DMG. What else do you have? Griffin. There, Sept Technologies, Hive. Hive might do pretty well. Actually, they're really good on these things. Operational wise, they're really good. Who else? I'm trying to think who else would be a really good one that's small. I wouldn't get into like Sphere or Argo. I think those might have issues going forward, but they still might do really well. I just don't know. But based on their cash and everything else, those are a no for me, at least right now. But that's basically it that I can think of right now off the top of my head. Yellow Gambler asks, hey Seb, do you think Riot will make another offer around $3 after the November vote? Even at $3, I think it's going to get rejected by Bitfarms right now. So I don't expect that to happen. And that would be a premium depending. Yeah, I mean, November vote, if we have a good October, the stock price in Bitfarms should be like around $3 or $4 by itself at that point. So you're looking at making a bid for like $5, $6. At that point, okay, maybe that gets a little bit more appealing, but I still think it's not enough to be a material change in the way Bitfarms sees themselves. Okay. Hank the Tank says, if tomorrow's dips, Cleanspark, IREN, or Bitfarms, if tomorrow dips some more, I'll probably pick up all three of them. I'll throw in a little bit, not as much as I threw in last Thursday or Friday when I bought more, but I'll throw in a little bit more to buy some more of that. Space Grid says, thank you, Seb. You're very welcome. What else we here? Mikiko, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. Hi, Seb. Finally, September is done. Looking forward for a bullish move on months ahead, especially on Bitfarms. Me too, right? We've been waiting for this for quite a while. This is usually when things take off. If it's a similar cycle like we've had in the past. If it isn't, then it might be an extended cycle. We'll have to wait and see. Let's see. America's Realtor, appreciate the weekly information and details on all the miners. Thank you for being great. Oh, you're very welcome. Yeah, thank you for coming in. Let's see. Okay. Does market stats. How much exahash do we need from Bitfarms to bring the stock up to 250 tomorrow? If they can get to 12 to 13 exahash, that might be pretty good. But depending where Bitcoin goes, if Bitcoin goes actually down on the day, we'll probably see all the miners go down regardless of the news that comes out, I think, on them. Let's see, Roger asks, what if the cycle is a double top? Well, that's a good question. So what do you think would be the double top? Would be like 100,000? We go back down and go back up to 100,000 at that point. That'd be interesting. Do you see if let's see, Jackie asked, do you see Bitcoin will hit 75,000 by the end of October? What were we up last historically? Historically, last time we were, so if we look at this here, so going back here, we can see 2016, we were up 14% roughly, right? So if we close the month out at, what is it, 63,000 roughly, we close it out. Let me just do the math here on my calculator really quick. Calculator is 63,000 times 1.14 percentage. That would get us to about 71,000 if we go by that. It's almost 15%, so let's go 1.5. Oops, let me go back. 1.15. We're looking at 72.5 roughly thousand at that point. But if we go to like 2015, where we had also a green month here, we were up 33%. So if we go somewhere between there, let's just do 25%. Right, let's see what that would bring us. 25% would bring us to around 78,000 at the end of October. But if you just add these up, you're looking at like 98,000 by the end of the year potentially. These 14%, 5%, and 30% here. If we get those. Regardless, I think we're going to be somewhere between 90 and 110,000 by the end of the year, possibly, which would be great, right? I'm sure nobody's going to be disappointed if that happens, but we'll have to see how things play out. All right, back to the questions. What else? Okay, HG Tech. If Riot ends up getting Bitfarms and Stronghold, is it a good idea to hold the Riot shares through the cycle or sell and allocate elsewhere? If they end up getting Bitfarms, they're going to be probably like one of the... They might beat out Marathon at that point. Marathon's supposed to only get to like 50 exahash this year. With them getting Bitfarms, they should be close to like 60 exahash by the end of the year at that point. So I would possibly hold on to that. Because they would be the biggest ones there, as long as they can operate their own facilities at a much, what's the word I'm looking for? Much higher efficiency, not really efficiency, it's more of a much higher uptime is what I'm looking for. Victor C, question, last cycle Bitcoin started to move up in October. What week does it start comparing to last cycle? Thanks. What week? Let's see if we can maybe find that out. So if we go back to last cycle here, let me pull up my screen here. Let's go. Okay, this is this cycle here. It's going to take a little bit for it to go back. All right, where is it at? Okay, there's the other cycle in 2020. We started going up here in actually, let me see here, October. This was like the third week. It looks like Wednesday, the 21st of October. We were going up a little bit as well. Let me see if I can zoom in on this, see if there's any major changes here. Okay, so we're kind of going down in through September, looks like. September, October 6th, and then we started going back up. So from the beginning of October, where was that at? Right there. Okay, so let's take a ruler, go back to here where we ended up. We went up 20%. Basically in 3 weeks at that point, and by the end of the month we were up, where's it at? Saturday the 31st we were up almost 30%. So even within the first week or so, first 2 weeks we were up 8% based on this, but it's looking more like a cycle that we're going to see from 2015 and 2016, where we had 2 green Septembers like we do now. So we might be somewhere between there, between 14 and 33%. When that's going to happen exactly is, I don't know. You know, we'll be, as long as we end up with a green month in October, and it's going to be a good green month, I don't really care when it happens, if it happens in the beginning or towards the end, as long as you get a good green month on that one. Okay. Let's see. What else do we have here? Okay. M says, I bought today. Nice. Okay. Estimated number of BTC mined for IREN Cleanspark in September. Your best guess. Oh, gosh. I mean, I could probably run the numbers on it, figure it out. But best guess is they should be up from where they were in August. I just don't know exactly how far. I didn't really look into it. Okay. Price prediction for Bitfarms, Hive, IREN, and Bit Digital by the end of 2024. So Bitcoin goes up to 100,000. We're looking at roughly, what is that? What is that going to be? We're at 60,000. We're probably going to go up another 60% or so. Look at all these guys, and I would say at the bare minimum, they should be at least 2x to like a 4x on them. I don't know exactly where they're going to be directly, but I would expect them to be at least somewhere around there. They might be a little bit higher than that, but look somewhere around there. Let's see here. Hank the Tank says Mara over 700 BTC mine in September, possibly. If they continue to increase their hash rate and things like that, but better operational uptime as well, that could be a possibility there. Let's see. Dead Market Stats says there should be a better offer on Bitfarms by 2026 from another miner or even a hyperscaler. 2026. Depending when in 2026. If you're talking about like the end of 2026, maybe, but I don't know. I mean, they're going to have Stronghold. They're going to be much bigger than where they are right now. I just don't see somebody buying them out. The only thing that maybe hyperscaler will want to buy out is maybe the Pennsylvania sites. And maybe if they can get the connects that Ben wants at the Stronghold facilities, that might be also appealing to some of the hyperscalers there. But I just don't see it otherwise being bought out. Okay. Ed says, hi Seb, is it going to take Bitfarms 6 months to execute Stronghold? They're planning on getting it done in Q1 of next year. So 3 months away, and you got 3 months in the quarter. So it could be 6 months. We'll have to wait and see. Question, what are your thoughts about Cleanspark's plan to again further dilute the stock for more hash? I'm okay with it. I've been okay with it ever since they were doing it. Everybody's doing it here in the space anyways, right? We've seen them grow from basically 100 petahash, the smallest miner in 2021, before the bull run started, to being now the second largest in over, I guess you could say over a little bit over 3 years, right? 2021, 2022, 23, 24, you're looking at roughly 4 years, right? So it took them 4 years to become number 2 spot, just ahead of Riot right now. They're just behind Marathon as it is. So it has been accretive. Yes, they've diluted over 200 million shares, but you got actually something for it. They're number 2 one. You saw a huge run up in the price. I mean, if you look at where they were just at the bottom here in 2022 in December, they're probably up already, was it like 7-8x? They were up much higher than that, or like 15x on it at one point if you were able to buy at the bottom and sell at the top. So it is, I think, accretive to investors. And remember, the next 300 million that they're getting added to their amount of shares available to them is not going to be all diluted all at once. It's going to be diluted over a number of years, just like the first 200 million that they diluted or so has been over like 3 years. Okay, so I'm okay with it. Okay, why it's dipping? I mean, BTC, is BTC dipping right now? Where are we at here? Let me take a look at my chart. I gotta scroll all the way to where we are right now. I'm sure there's probably a faster way to do it than scrolling. Come on, scroll. Okay, we're getting close. Where is it at? Is it dipping? That's not really dipping now. It's still holding steady if we look at the chart here. You can see where it's at right now. It dipped, bears selling at the end of the month. Trying to maybe, I think it was just profit taking and selling. Bitcoin was up quite nicely for the month. So were the miners. So profit taking is expected to be at the end of the month on that one. So I'm not too concerned about it right now. Okay, back to Q&A. Okay, Cleanspark to 50. Everyone is so bullish on October. I've been very skeptical. Historically, it has been very good, right? If you look at it on the chart or on the table here, we can see that October has only had 2 years out of the last, was it 12 years or something like that, where it was in the red. Otherwise, it has historically been in the green. That's why everybody is so bullish on it. The pattern that we're seeing right now, September, and we've had September green this year. Last year, we had the same setup in 2016, 2015. That's why people are bullish on it, because if you look at that, we've had a nice bullish run up here in the historically, and it may play out that way. I'm thinking that it will, but time will only tell, right? Nobody has a crystal ball, unfortunately. I wish I did, but I don't. Okay. Let's Let's see. Mara going crazy with mining this month over 700 Bitcoin and 96% efficiency. Might be the best month for Mara has ever done. No, their best month was actually in December of last year. They mined a heck of a lot more. What was it, like 1,800 Bitcoin at that point? And their operations were like up 100% of the time. They had a fantastic December last year. Hey, Sept, can you add M2 global supply as a metric you track versus Bitcoin? Yeah, I'm seeing a lot more people do that where they have the overlay, Bitcoin and M2 supply. I'll think about it. It might be something interesting to take a look at there, see how that plays out. What else we got here? I think we talked about this a little bit. Hi, Seb. It's going to take Bitfarms 6 months to execute SDIG. Do you think it's right? Do you think it's going to if it Riot ends up buying Bitfarms? Riot's not going to end up buying Bitfarms. I think that ship has sailed already. Okay. Based on previous data, how many times in 1 year did Cleanspark dilute the shares? What was the amount on average? The amount on average on that, well, I mean, we can look at what we have here historically for them at least. If we want to take a look at it here. So if we look at their numbers for the last couple of quarters, I do have that here. Let me see here. So we had, okay, Q4 of last year, fiscal year 2023. From the prior quarter in Q3, this is Q4. This is, I think, Q4 is our Q3. They're like a quarter ahead, right? So they diluted 21%. They diluted for the year 157%. From quarter to quarter, then from Q4 to Q1, they diluted only 7.24. Q2 from Q1, they diluted 15%. And the last quarter, which was Q2, they diluted only 8.89%. So dilution has been kind of decreasing here, it looks like, at least a little bit. And that's mainly because they have a higher HODL position. Their also stock price was much higher. So as the stock price goes up, you dilute less over time as well. And that's kind of what I would expect to happen going forward as well, as long as the stock stays up. And remember, if they can use the HODL that they have right now and actually sell it towards the higher prices of Bitcoin, where Bitcoin's maybe 2-3x from where it's at right now, they're going to be making a lot of money on that, where they could then use that to fund their growth and everything else into the bear market, thus reducing the amount that they have to dilute potentially. That's a big if. That's if they do that. Again, they did that last cycle. I'm thinking they might do that again this cycle, which would be really good. But we'll see. Okay. What else do we have here? Okay. Do you think Ben would help Riot get their operations straighter out if Riot buys Bitfarms? Silver linings, perhaps, or do you think they would fire him? It might be a situation where they actually keep Ben and let go of Jason. Maybe. I mean, there's always possibility. We saw that with Hut 8 and BTC, right? Hut 8 was the maybe more stronger company. And what did they do? They let Jamie Leverton go at that point. And Asher Ganut got to take over the company. So you just never know with that, right? Be careful what you wish for. Let's see. Bevneet says, Seb, you were right to say Bitcoin will finish green in September. Yeah, I mean, once we start getting more and more data, we can see where things might actually end up at. In the beginning, I was thinking, it might be in the red or might be in the green. It's a toss-up on it. But as we get more data, it becomes more apparent. Okay. Hi, Seb, what do you think of Cypher selling BTC to grow their business? Isn't it better to dilute at this point instead of selling their BTC stack? I mean, that's a tricky. I would say it's tricky. It's a little bit tricky. The reason I say it's tricky because, yes, if you HODL right now, you're going to be able to possibly have more of that value in the future. But it also depends where the stock is at. Their stock price was pretty low. So if you dilute now, you're going to be diluting shareholders a heck of a lot more than what you have in HODL. So I think for them, it was a pretty good play based on that alone. Okay. Let's see here. Also, James from Invest Answer suggested to vote no for Cleanspark dilution. I respect him, but disagree with the decision. Any thoughts? Yeah, I like James a lot. He's been a strong bull of Cleanspark for probably as long as I have been, I think. And he's also been pretty good supporter of my channel and everything else. So I just disagree with that. How else are they going to be able to fund growth in the future, right? We want to have growth, and that's why I say they have a nice HODL position right now. That's going to be valued maybe 2-3x going into the next year. If they can use a portion of it, I'm not saying that they use all of it, but a portion of it, they sell a portion of it, like 50% to 75% of it in the bull run, they're going to have a huge stack of cash that they can use then to grow into their, into the bear market potentially. That's kind of the way I would look at it. And then once they go through that cash, they can actually use the ATM at that point and grow some more as well. I mean, it's worked for them in the past. I would expect it to work again in the future as well, but we'll see. Okay, now let's see here. Bethany, what if October Bitcoin finishes in red? What are your thoughts then? Then my thoughts are this is a different cycle than what we've seen in 2015, 2016, and then prior cycles as well, where it could be an extended cycle. Maybe. I would need to see, October and November being in the red potentially at that point, and then that would make me think that this is a different cycle altogether, where Bitcoin is going to go up slower, but for longer, potentially. See, any concern about the port strike? If that goes on more than a week, people may get 2020 hoarding flashbacks, and general market may feel some fear. Might pave the way for 50. That's a possibility there. Yeah. I mean, if you have the port, there's so many things that come in through the port. It's ridiculous. So any downtime in that and supply constraints are going to happen at that point as well, because you're going to just be running out of things. Yeah, they need to get that resolved as fast as possible. Right, the people there should make a good living, I believe. Anybody should make a good living, but I don't know what they make right now. Regardless, they feel that they are not generating enough revenue or income for themselves. More power to them to possibly go on a strike and force the hand of the operators there a little bit and get a little bit more for them. Because, I mean, the company that I work for, we're still paying a boatload of money for shipments and things like that, and they get a portion of that as well. So I'm all for it. So it says, sorry, Seb, my questions are not being posted on here correctly. Why are they not being posted correctly? Question, add. Let me see, add. I don't see you post anything here. I'm going back up to the list. I don't see anything posted for you. I'm not sure why that is. I'm not deleting anything or anything like that, nor do I have any moderators right now. But I just don't see that. So what's your question? Okay. Let's see here. No, someone asked you prior to September, and you said, I think we'll finish in the green. I said that, yes, I think we would finish green if we have a repeat of 2015, 2016 cycle, which is kind of what we're seeing right now. So, but things do change, and it's just like you really never know where things are going to get at. I might be wrong one month. I might be right the next month. You just never know. Let's see. Chris, Riot is the king. We'll see what Riot provides. I would like to see Riot have much better uptime. I'm sure you would too. Wouldn't it make more sense for Riot? Excuse me. Wouldn't it make more sense for Riot to let someone else buy out Bitfarms? They would make more from their Bitfarms shares. Potentially, or just let Bitfarms operate the way they are, right? And just let them grow. They'll have more on the shares anyways. Ed says, I bought 10,000 shares Bitfarms today. Nice, good price entry. John says, bought the Killer Bees Bitfarms, BitDigital, or BitDeer, BitDigital, BitX, and BTB. Big winners. Nice. Let's see. Victor C says mining is a tough business. Yes, it is. That's why you need the funding, you need the capital, you need to be able to use the shares for the growth. If you're a public, or not a public, if you're a private miner, you're at a huge disadvantage because you just cannot grow like the public miners, and you're always kind of in the back seat of things. If you guys remember, I managed a small mining fund for 5 years. It was nowhere near the size of these guys here are. We had 600 machines, but it was tough to make it up and also turn a small profit. So I definitely understand how tough it is on it. So these guys have a little bit of an advantage because they do have the economies of scale a little bit. They can, pull on the shares, they can dilute, they can grow even in bear markets, and still be able to fund their operations, things like that, to then make it up for when we do have the bull run, especially like now, and make up a large portion of it at that point. So, yeah. Let's see here. Hank, thank you, Sebastian. Appreciate all you do. Thanks, Hank. Yeah, you're very welcome. And I'm guessing you're probably going to bed, so have a great night. And then Bethany says, Bitcoin at 100,000 price target, Mara, Bitfarms, CORZ, IREN. Again, you look at it to be about 4 to 5x higher from where it is right now. That's probably the easiest way to kind of look at it, because it's really tough to see where each one of these guys will be at exactly. But I think somewhere in that range between Bitcoin goes 60% up, I would expect these guys to be at least 2 to 4x up, if not 5x at that point. As long as they're growing nicely, they're doing all the right things. Operational uptime is great. All those things are important for us. Okay. Let's see. See a couple more questions coming in here. Okay. When Riot takes off, will we hear more or less from Chris? I was getting worried about him. We'll probably hear more from him if Riot takes off. I'm hoping it does well for him. Let's see. Have you spoken about Cleanspark uptime this month? Wonder if when we see the production update, the stock price will go down because of the hurricane. They did come out. We did speak about it at the beginning of the video here a little bit. They did curtail. They shut down because of the hurricane. They're back up to 22 exahash right now. They are supposed to be back up to 28 exahash once everything is fully energized. So that is about 4.5, 4.5 or 5.5. I can't remember. 4.5. 28. They're at 22 right now. 22.6. 5.5 exahash of growth in September alone. Pretty nicely, right? So we did talk about that. I don't think the stock's going to take a huge hit because of it, because it was only a couple of days. Okay. What are your end of BTC price targets? End of year BTC price. I provided Anthony and Bryce when they're doing their thing on X, where they're asking for the top 3 miners that will do the best, and what will be the Bitcoin price at the end of the year. I said 113,000. We'll see how close I get, and that was based on. I took that on the averages of Bitcoin here over the next couple of months. So I used the average 22, 46, and 5% growth in October, November, December, and we're ending at like 63,000 at the end of September. So I said 113,000, I think was where I stated for Bitcoin by the end of the year potentially. We'll see, right? See how close we get to that. Okay. Bitfarms at 100,000. Can Bitfarms do $6 USD? If they go 2x, they're gonna be close. Between $5 and $6, I would think they would be somewhere around there. What is a great price to buy in more Bitfarms? Right around this price range. Any dips that you get, I would think those are great places to buy it. I still think that it should be at least 2x from where it is right now. What else? Laser beam sandwich, be nice out there. What is your most bearish price target for Bitcoin? My most bearish, 75,000. If we get to only 75,000 by the end of the year, it is a different cycle. Okay. LTD Lawn Services says, late, got my bearish pullback, hoping my orders fill tomorrow. When did you place it? I'm guessing you probably placed it at the end of the day. But yeah, I hope they get placed for you as well. HD says, I guess BTC at 96.5. That's not a bad price target there. Based on the math, if you look at the 2016 cycle, it'd be around 98,000, somewhere around there. Let's see. Athlete's Edge says, everyone's selling 2025 top. I see first wave 2024 December. Thoughts there will be a correction after the first wave. Yes, there will be. We'll see that. Especially in December, we'll see profit taking, right? Hedge funds, other funds and institutions probably just putting profits on their books at that point. So we will see that happening as well. Okay, imagine if the hurricane hit Riot's facility, they'd be down years. Like Cleanspark back online with their fully in a week. Riot was a different story. They had a ice storm. I think it was an ice storm at that point, where they had issues with their machines. And Jason has said that they have learned from it and that they should not have the same kind of hiccups as they did last time. Time will tell. Okay, what else do we have here? Michael Saylor says 99% of Bitcoin will be mined in 2035. If that's the case, any thoughts on the miners? What would they do? Well, in 2035, by that time, Bitcoin should be at least above 100 million, not 100 million, 1 million, sorry, misspoke, $1 million at that point. So they will be making more. And if we have increase in the transaction fees as well, that will be a beneficial thing to the miners as well. Roger asks, what happened to Blondity? And also Plan B is predicting 250 to 500,000 BTC this cycle. Plan B is using his stock to flow model, right? And that can have pretty sizable gyrations, I guess, in the ups and the upsides. 250,000 might be doable if you look at the power law. And my price target was 180,000. That was based on just what I was seeing with Bitcoin going. As time goes on, the X multiple that Bitcoin goes up is decreasing, but the value of BTC is increasing more, right? So I was thinking 180,000 based on just where I was seeing things kind of degrading a little over time, but the amount value goes up. I hope that can make sense for you guys. And then if you look at the power law says around 150,000. So could we go up above that? Yes, we could go above that as well. So I would say 250 might be the top unless we have a different cycle altogether where it's an extended cycle. And then we're going up into 2026, maybe even into 2027, where it's going to be a little bit more prolonged cycle and lower gains each year, but higher value, I guess you could say. Okay. And I'm not sure what happened to Blondity. This is a tough space to be in. And if he held on to the miners at that point, maybe that's what, did him in a little bit here. I don't know. I'm not sure. Okay. Let's see. Anthony mentioned that Bitfarms was the only miner that all you miner influences put on your top 3, yet Bitfarms lags hard. Everyone seems to love Bitfarms, but the price is always in the dump. Yeah. And that's kind of why we're thinking that maybe once Bitcoin starts going up higher, they will outperform because they have been so beaten down and underperforming here recently. But their operations are much better. Everything is improving. So we're hoping for one of those things where it's the reverse on those. Okay. Do you think the events in Georgia and Tennessee will hurt Cleanspark production for this quarter? It will hurt a little bit. It shouldn't hurt it too much. They have increased their hash rate. We'll see on that one. It's going to be close, I think. Okay. What else we got here? Okay, can we expect how much IREN stock price will drop in October this time? Why would we think that would drop? I'm not sure why. Is it because we dropped last October? Is that what you're thinking, maybe? Okay. I want to buy Riot at their current price, but man, the company just sucks. I can't pull the trigger. LMAO. Yeah, I would need to see Riot have much better operational uptime in order for me to buy them. It's for any company, really. Riot or Marathon, regardless of the company, I want to see much better uptime for them. Okay. Sept, how do you feel about the performance of BTC in comparison to the previous halving cycles? Wildly different macro environment going into Q4. Thoughts? It is different macro environment that we've seen in the past. We're trying to stave off a recession potentially, and we've done that ever since 2008. I mean, it's kind of been we're trying to save the economy, get jobs, everything else. It's tough. I understand that. It's not going to be perfect all the time. But right now, the way we're seeing things play out, it is similar to the prior cycles that we've had, at least after the halving event. So when we look at the cycle here in 2024, we had the halving event in April, right? We were down in April here as well in 2015, but we had I think at that point, the halving was like around February or March, something like that. It was even earlier than that. But overall, if you look at the months and things like that, it is playing out similar to like the 2016, 2015 cycle potentially on it. So I don't know. The only thing that would make me think it's a different cycle, like I said before, is if October and November are in the dumps and we're actually in the red or something like that, or just barely moving up a little bit, then I would think maybe this is a different cycle. But otherwise, right now, the way we're seeing with the numbers in September and in this year and last year, specifically compared to 2015 and 2016, they look pretty similar here as well. Time will tell. Overall, I think eventually we're going to go up. I just don't know if it's going to be here in the next 3 months or if it's going to be over the next 3 years, potentially, depending if it's a different cycle. But that's why I say the next couple months are going to be pretty telling, I think, the way to look at the cycle that we are in right now. All right. Let's see. else? Gold went on a long bull run after the ETFs. Yeah, and that's one of the thoughts that I had there with this happening right now with Bitcoin is could it also do the same thing that gold did? And I'm not certain yet on it, but we'll see in the next 3 months. I think that will be telling. The only difference that we have with gold and Bitcoin is gold, there's always more supply of it someplace. You just got to find it and mine it. Where Bitcoin, you have only 21 million Bitcoin, and that is it, and you're out. So it's a different setup on that one. Let's see. Green September sideways. Green September sideways October to shake out. Maybe not. October should be a pretty good month. Thoughts on the docs? Yeah. I mean, we'll see tomorrow. I think tomorrow's the deadline for when they're supposed to decide whether or not they're going to go on a strike. If that happens, how long will that last? That's going to be, that might be tough on Bitcoin. If it lasts longer, I think it'll be tough on the markets in general, not just Bitcoin, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. It's too early to tell, I think. Okay, if everyone loves Bitfarms, why it's very beaten down? Maybe because of lack of institutional interest. Lack of institutional interest may be part of it. They only have like 30% institutions being owned by it, whereas other companies are like 40, 50, even 60% owned by institutions. So that might be part of it. I think Riot hangover is also part of it also. The FUD that we've had in the last 6 months doesn't help anything either. But we've seen a lot of good news here. Ben's the CEO now. He's doing, I think, all the right things. They're buying Stronghold as well. They're actually in somewhat agreement with Riot on board seats and things like that. So there's things that are positive, more so lately than in the past. Okay. The reason the markets were shaken today is being of hawkish Japanese prime minister that has been elected. Dips are for buying during uptrend. Rips are for selling during downtrend. Buy more. Yeah. Okay. Are you selling 100% of your holdings this cycle, or are you going to let some ride? No, I will be selling. The only one that might hold is Bitcoin. Everything else, I'm going to be probably selling. But maybe I might actually sell Bitcoin too, and see if I can maybe time a little bit better towards the top. I mean, I'm not saying that we're going to get the top perfectly, but I'm saying maybe I can get it close to the top, sell it, and then buy and lower again. We have a similar cycle like in the past. Unless this is an extended cycle, then I'm just going to hold on to Bitcoin. Let's see here. Yo, Seb, glad September's over. Don't 10% on Cleanspark. Are you down 10% on Cleanspark? If you are down, dollar cost average in, I think you'll do very well in the next year. Okay. BTC ETFs are just buying like crazy. Last Friday was 500 million. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of interest happening into this space. Okay. Do you know about BTCS? I do not. They seem under the radar. I buy them just in case, just cause of the hodl. Who's BT? I would have to look it up. BTCS. I'm not aware of it. I'm not aware of them. Okay, I'm asking this because of the presidential election this year, and the stock market usually experiences significant fluctuation before the presidential election. There might be some fluctuations in it. We just can't foresee that. But again, I keep going back to this where Bitcoin doesn't really care who the president is. We've had Democrats and we've had Republicans. What does Bitcoin do? Bitcoin goes up. Right? That makes Bitcoin special because we only have 21 million Bitcoins, and the supply is getting decreased every 4 years. So as long as the adoption is happening, which we're seeing with ETFs, institutions, countries buying it, everything else, there's no other way for it to go than eventually up. Yes, there might be some manipulation in the market as well, where Bitcoin should, based on what we're seeing as far as inflows into the ETFs and everything else, Bitcoin should be going up, but it's not. Why is it not doing that? Is it paper trading? We don't know, but there's something going on behind the scene. But eventually, I think Bitcoin is going to rally up. Sarmelin Gaming says, volatility is a drug we all love and abuse. Yep. It can definitely be that way. Okay. Bev asks who the F is selling Bitcoin at these prices. ETFs continue to eat up the supply every day. Makes you think maybe the price is kept down on purpose. Well, that's kind of what I said. Manipulation, maybe. Big boys are playing in this field now. Okay. Do you think Powell will cut rates again in November, December? I do think so. I think we might get at least a 25 basis points cut in both months. But time will tell. Okay. Roger says Powell said another 50 basis points on today's interview. Is that for the end of the year or is that each month? If it was each or in November, December, then we're looking at possibly being down 150 basis points by the end of the year. Okay. Let's see. Here we go. Hey Seb, what's your take on Cypherpunk? Holds about 28 million worth of SOL and BTC combined. Very small cap. Possibly good DGM play. SOL and BTC combined. Cypherpunk. I'm not sure on that one. Is that a person on X? Cypherpunk. Not sure. What percentage of your portfolio are miners? What percentage is BTC? Thanks. Right now, it would be, I think, let me see if I can pull that up. I'm not going to show it to you guys because you guys will have all the information that I have. Where is it at? Drive. But we'll take a look at it, what it looks like right now. Let me see. Where's it at? Okay, let's see if I can probably do this. Show you guys this chart here right now. Of course, as long as I don't move anything, I think we should be good. Okay. So here is the chart right now. And Bitcoin is 37% of my portfolio right now. Cleanspark's 24%, IREN's 14.9, and Bitfarms is 14.9 as well. And you got Core Scientific at 1.6, Doge a little bit there, Cardano, Hedera, Hashgraph, and Ethereum. So Bitcoin is still my largest position here. It went back to being the largest before. If you go back about 6 months or so, Cleanspark was actually my largest position, and then Bitcoin was my number 2 position at that point. Okay, so that's it on that one. All right, close that out. Okay, let's see. Okay. Let's see. Roger says China finance minister is looking into BTC because of the American ETF interest. Powell said 50 basis points for the remainder of the year. Okay, so yeah, 25 basis points each month. Then yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Question: is it possible the ETFs and MicroStrategy make new highs with Bitcoin stuck at 70K? No. Bitcoin stuck at 70. Yeah, no. We need Bitcoin to move up in order for those guys to move up as well. Does your price target for BTC change if Trump gets in and he makes BTC a strategic reserves? That's going to be, he's going to need a change in laws, and you would need the House and Senate to basically approve it first. Not sure how likely that would be, depending on who controls both of those. If it's controlled by Democrats, we're probably not going to see that, so not much of a change is going to happen there. But if the Republicans hold all three, then that might be a pretty big positive there, and depending on how much they actually buy of it, that would be interesting. Game theory, right? Let's see. Swap your Cardano and BNB for Solana, Seb. I don't have much in there. I only Cardano was quite a bit. I think it was around $8,000 I put into it. I'm down 50% on it still. So if I can at least get that back up, I'll be happy with that, and I'm done with altcoins. No more altcoins for me. Let's see. Why do you think institutions are more interested in BTC than Hong Kong? That I don't know. I don't follow the markets in those countries or anything like that, or the ETFs, anything like that. I just don't know on that one. Do you know the MicroStrategy average is around 39,000? Seems high. No, because he was buying it at higher prices as well. So that seems possibly right. But still, even at 39,000, he's still up. What is that? From 40,000 to he's up 50%, 60%, something like that on it. So it's not too bad overall. And he's got a lot though. So I mean, you know, with that amount, a little bit percentage gains makes a lot. All right, I think we are all caught up to you guys' questions here. It seems like, let's see, We got 2 more things coming in here, and we'll call it a day here. Let's see. MicroStrategy performance is so good. Yeah, it's been doing really well. But I'm not the only one that actually thinks that MicroStrategy historically has, at least right now in the last probably year and a half, has outperformed the Bitcoin miners. But once Bitcoin starts ripping up to 100, 150,000, 200,000, the miners will outperform MicroStrategy at that point. I'm not the only one that actually thinks that too. But we'll see. Nonetheless, MicroStrategy has been a great play over the last year and a half to maybe even 2 years from the bottom. So, we'll see where things end up at that point. And I think we have one more question here popping up here. Yep. All right. We'll call this the last one. Do you expect Bitfarms to give us a surprise in tomorrow's updates for exahash operational? I do not. I'm expecting them to get at least close to 12 to 13 exahash at that point, because their build out is pretty much set out where the build out was supposed to be more so in like towards the end of Q4. So we're looking at more like November, December timeframe as well to get to the 21 exahash. So I do not expect that right now. Okay. But that is it. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll have probably Bitfarms reporting as well tomorrow. Cleanspark may report. IREN may also report. But then I would expect the rest of the guys to report towards the end of the week as well. Okay. So that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys learned something from it. Greatly appreciate you guys coming on here and taking the time to spend it with me while I ramble about the miners. But you guys also make me think, which I love. So thank you so much for coming in. Love you all. Hope you guys have a great Tuesday. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right. Bye.